Elena's fingers were so cold, almost numb, just like her ears, her nose, and her toes. She had been on her own for a little over 2 weeks in the middle of a Colorado winter. The frigid weather planned to freeze her body over, and Elena would let it gladly. She'd rather freeze to death than go back to her old life. Rubbing her fingers together, Elena contemplated her old life. Though she tried not to think about it, it popped into her mind quite often. Her whole childhood seemed empty. Her friends only hung around her because her appearance attracted a great number of boys. Everybody liked her body but forgot there was a person inside of it. Elena Smith was inside it and wanting to get out. Her mother and father crooned over her, but she knew they didn't really love her. They loved the money she brought in from the beauty pageants. She was so tired of pageants and so tired of being alone. She had tried to run away from her life before, but her parents always found her. Once when she was 8, she had tried to leave. She had walked for such a long time she couldn't feel the burn in her legs anymore. After about 10 miles, her parents pulled up on the side of the road in their new Lexus, the one they bought with her prize money. Of course, they stuffed her in the back seat and fed her apologies and promises. Elena was too old by then to even think they could be telling the truth. She knew better. Elena was broken out of her disturbing thoughts by an elderly woman who had come walking through the alley she was huddled in. Elena had chosen to sit in the most dangerous alley in her town. People fought here, and many homeless like her also camped out here. She thought her mom and dad would believe their little angel chose to hike into the woods again, or go into the safer part of the city. Elena hugged herself tighter as the woman neared. Elena learned that if you don't make eye contact, most of the time they will leave you alone. She was surprised when she heard the woman's footsteps stop right in front of her. Elena couldn't help it. She looked up. A crinkly, worn face looked back at her, her pale blue eyes bright. For a moment they just stared, assessing each other. Finally, after the woman cleared her throat, she croaked, "Elena Smith?" Elena was so shocked she couldn't respond. How did this random person know her name? "My name is Beatrice. Your parents are sending out a $1,000 award for you." Tears welled in Elena's eyes as she processed this. She knew what this woman wanted. By the looks of her clothes and how thin she was, Elena could tell how much she needed the money. "Please," she whispered. "Please don't take me back. I'll do anything." Beatrice was silent, watching the tears overflow and streak down Elena's dirty but flawless face. Then, very suddenly, she sat down with difficulty about 2 feet from Elena. Elena cringed. "Don't hurt me." The woman looked at her in surprise. "Why, Elena, I'm 85 years old. I couldn't hurt you if I tried." Elena wasn't sure, but she didn't run away. Beatrice sighed and said, "I've been homeless ever since my husband left me when I was 70. He said he loved another woman. He took all our money and our house, leaving me poor and without a home." Elena looked at her and said quietly, "Why are you telling me this?" Hesitantly, Beatrice replied, "You're not alone, Elena. All people feel the need to escape every now and again. Just the brave ones actually do it. I knew from the first time I saw your picture on that paper, you felt abandoned. There was a look in your eye, emptiness and coldness. You had such a pretty, smiling face, but I knew what you were thinking. You're supposed to be thankful for everything you get, but sometimes you have to demand for what you need." Elena considered this. She said softly, "I don't really believe in the whole forgive and forget thing." "Good," Beatrice said enthusiastically. "You shouldn't forget. You should remember it forever and learn from it." Elena was still fascinated. A random woman came up to talk to her. She was even more surprised to hear such lessons from her. She shook her head. "Why are you telling me this? Why are you even talking to me?" Beatrice smiled. "Well, I figure even if my life is doomed, maybe I can make another life better." Elena stared at her in disbelief. "If you knew what I've been through, you would know it's impossible to try to help. I've been alone, abandoned. I've swallowed my parents' lies before, and guess what? Every time I learned I was an idiot for hoping a word they were saying was true. I would still end up in beauty pageants. I would still end up ignored. All they care is that their moneymaker is still winning." She broke down. Tears of many sorts flowed freely down her face, like prisoners fleeing from an overcrowded jail. Beatrice patted her back comfortingly. Elena flinched but didn't move away. It had been so long since she'd been touched like that. Even though Elena didn't know it, she had decided to trust Beatrice. For the rest of that afternoon, Elena sat and talked to Beatrice, telling her how ignored she always felt. In the end, after much persuading and support from Beatrice, Elena agreed. She'd go back. She would find some real friends. She'd demand her parents to quit entering her in pageants, and they would learn to love Elena, not for her physical perfection, but for her. Elena and her parents would finally be what she wanted most.